right, before we start making our clay project, we always need to design it out on paper first. So your actual project needs to be drawn large because it has to fit the edges of the box that I printed for you, because that's the size that your actual clay project is going to become. So what you're drawing out is the shape of the letter. That's the bottom of the box and the lid piece. So you need to choose a letter that represents an initial of your name, either your first initial, your last initial, or you could turn your paper sideways if you want to fit two letters that touch, but they have to connect because this is still one box with one container and one lid to it. So what you want to do is use the sides of the box that's already printed for you, if you can, to be the edges of your letter, if it makes sense. So I'm going to do a letter M because my first name is Megan. So I'm going to use the outside edge of my box to be the sides of my M. And then I just need to decide, do I want my M to be all straight lines? Do I want it to be curvy lines? So I'm going to draw in the top edge to my letter M. And then I know that I need to have at least 2 fingers width for my letter, because I need space on the inside of my box where I can put things in it, because this is a functional work of art. So if my walls are not at least 2 fingers apart, then they're going to get too skinny together. So really this part of my wall got a little too skinny. To fit things inside, it needs to be at least 2 fingers apart. So I am going to make sure that I use that dimension with my 2 fingers, and I'm going to draw my inside line. So that's at least 2 fingers wide. That's at least 2 fingers wide. This should be 2 fingers, this should be 2 fingers. So now I kind of have an idea of how to draw these lines. When you've got your letter drawn in, stop and do your measurements. Make sure you can fit at least 2 fingers on all edges. Once you've got the basic shape drawn out, then you need to figure out what your theme is going to be. Choose a theme that represents your interest. Draw the details of the carved items you will create on the lid, or the extra pieces that you'll sculpt from clay. So my theme was crayons, and you can see I sculpted these crayons to be 3D. So I drew that on this sample. Now, it is possible on the lid to have pieces of clay that stick out off the edge of the letter or the box right here. But here's what I wanted you to see, why it literally has to fit big enough to touch the box. What we'll be doing eventually is we will take a Crayola marker, which is not permanent. We're going to trace our letter. And then you can actually take a piece of clay that you roll out into a flat slab. You can put your drawing on top of that clay, and you can give it a paper massage. Crayola is not permanent, so it will come off your paper and it will leave a print on your clay. So now I know where to take my clay tools and cut through on that printed line to begin to build my box. So the key is draw large and have to have at least 2 fingers apart. When you're done with the letter, start designing your thematic pieces.